Hi everyone, and welcome to Rosemary's Kitchen, and today we're going to make a mushroom risotto, however it is you want to pronounce it, but it's going to be mushrooms. And so let's have a look at the ingredients first of all. I'll just take the top off of this. So we've got mushrooms, 14 ounces, and very finely minced. We have 1 teaspoon of salt and half teaspoon of pepper, ground sea salt, ground black pepper, and we've got a good teaspoon, a good heavy teaspoon of maybe several leaves of sage finely chopped. We've got the onions, 1 small or a half of a larger yellow onion, again finely chopped, and the arborio rice, and you can't see that but you will in a minute. And we've got the grated parmesan, which is 4 ounces of that, which is going in. And of course we've got 4 cloves of garlic, which is still in that pot because I'm not making a lot of dishwasher mess. Alright, so I'm going to take my onions, I'm going to take my garlic, and we're going to go over to the stove. Alright, let's go. So in this pan here, we've got 2 pans on the go. So the first pan is the butter, and 4 ounces of butter, which is melting very nicely in there, and you can probably, I just took it off the heat for a minute, so let's just bring that to a little bit of a simmer in a second there. And in here in this pan we've got 8 ounces of white wine, and at the moment we've got 32 ounces of broth. I like to use low sodium, and I like to use vegetable broth, but I couldn't find any today, so we've got chicken. So either chicken broth or vegetable broth. If you're a vegetarian, you're going to want to use vegetable broth. And this is a really lovely vegetarian dish. Alright, so I'm going to, the butter started to sizzle nicely, so I'm going to, you can probably hear that bit of a sizzle there. And I'm going to, oh, the butter smells delicious. It looks like I'm doing this in a giant pan. I suppose you could say it's a giant pan, but so we're going to cook these down until they're nice and soft. And you've heard me say before, I never add my garlic and onions at the same time, because the garlic, when it's cooking with the onions straight away before you've cooked the onions, tends to make the whole thing sort of sticky and a bit gluey. So to prevent that, and to make sure that the onions cook nice and evenly and the garlic is cooked nice and evenly, we just need to just gently saute these onions until they're a little bit soft. And you can see, even now, I mean, they've only been in probably 30 seconds, and you can see that they, if you can see the butter is bubbling up really beautifully there. Can you see that? Yeah. And the onions will be pretty soft anytime now. You can actually, if you want to, you can always, I mean, I chop these onions finely, but you can chop them even finer still if you want to do this. So we're going to do this any minute now. Let's add the garlic, shall we? Let's just add that garlic now, and we have to make sure that the garlic does not brown, because there's nothing worse than bitter tasting garlic, and the tendency, put that out of the way, the tendency, if you overcook your garlic, you're going to have a bitter taste with the garlic. I actually don't mind it when I'm putting it on things like sautéed green beans, or, that sounds good, doesn't it? Should we have some sautéed green beans tomorrow? Anyway, so I don't mind it if it's, because I actually will sauté almond slivers and garlic, and I don't mind it then. I don't mind that bitter taste if you're putting it on top of something, but you don't want it in something and tasting bitter. So we're just leaving that to cook very nicely. I'm going to hot foot over to the mushrooms. Now this looks like a lot more than 14 ounces of mushrooms. It looks like a pile of mushrooms, but you can see, I'm going to do this over here because I don't want to lose any, but as I put them in, you can see how finely I've minced those. If you want a rougher, chunkier risotto, just, you know, just don't mince them quite as finely. Now these mushrooms, as you know, I'm sure you'll all know this, These are going to go, they're going to drink up this butter in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. And here we go. And you can hear the nice sizzle. The heat is not too high. I've seen a bit of a big bit of mushroom. Now I have to tell you that I love mushrooms. Carolyn hates mushrooms. Don't you? You're not going to eat me out of house and home with this mushroom risotto, are you?
No, but it does smell delicious.
I have to tell you that anyone who doesn't like what Carolyn calls the slimy taste of mushrooms, I'm going to turn this heat up just a little bit. The next one, just a fraction. And can you see all the butter's disappeared? So those mushrooms have literally gone like that and sucked it all up, and we love that. Now mushrooms are usually sort of quite wet, so they have their own liquid, but if you can see this, I don't know if it's because we've diced them or what it is, but they're not oozing liquid as mushrooms usually do. So we're going to just give that a couple more minutes. I'm going to sprinkle over the sage first of all as it's cooking, and lovely. Try and do it fairly evenly distributed. And then I'm going to, you can see the sea salt that I'm using is pink sea salt, which I like to freshly grind. So I'm going to just sprinkle the salt and pepper over that beautifully. Make sure we've got it all out. I hope I'm doing this the right way. It doesn't really matter when the salt goes in, you know, but it might be that I should have added the rice. I've no idea, I can't remember. But that's all right as well. So now we've got that going. All right, we're going to turn it up fractionally a little bit more. So I've got it on at number 8 now. I've had it on 7 and now I'm going to do 8. So get that going. You'll soon start to hear the sizzle, because now I'm going to just, I'm hot-footing over here again. All right, you can you see the nice bubble that we're getting on that now? Lovely. Now mushrooms only take, oh, you can smell it as well. It smells so good. And they only take a minute, mushrooms, even when they're bigger, they only take a couple of minutes. I'm going to put this arborio rice in here. Now, the general rule with rice, we're breaking all the rules today. The general rule with rice is that you don't stir it, because it makes it sticky and claggy and not very nice. But this is arborio rice, and we're making a risotto. Risotto, who knows how you pronounce it. Maybe one of our Italian viewers can. We're going to saute that just a little bit. And then, oh, how lovely is this? And all that good stuff. So in here we've got, what do we have? We've got butter, lots of it, 4 ounces of it. We've got one small yellow onion, finely chopped. We've got, you have to keep stirring this, otherwise it'll stick on the bottom, and take it off the heat while we do this. And we've got garlic, of course, 4 or 5 cloves of garlic in there. We've got salt, pepper, sage. We've got the mushrooms, 4 ounces of mushrooms, and we've got now the rice. Now we're going to turn the heat down just a fraction again, and we're going to ladle in a couple of ladles at a time. That's all we're going to do. And this is going to take time. So now I'm going to stir in all that broth, and I'm going to leave it to cook like this. And then over the next half an hour to 45 minutes, I'm going to leave that to cook. And as soon as all of that rice has absorbed that liquid, and we're doing it on a fairly low heat, we're doing it on 5 or whatever that is. So as soon as the rice is absorbed, the liquid, we're then going to put another ladle in. And then we're going to put another ladle in. So it takes about half an hour to 45 minutes to do it. So we're not going to make you wait for 45 minutes to watch me pour broth into this risotto. So we shall see you in a moment. Oh, sorry, I'm waiting for the camera to go. All right, let's have a close-up of this now. So we've now got this wonderfully, I don't know if you can see this, but it's such a creamy, delicious mix. I've just tasted it. There is enough salt. In fact, there's enough of everything. I'm going to turn this heat down just a little bit. Oh, whoops, sorry, this stove, I still can't. And turn it down a bit. So this is cooked. Now, you can do this part or not. I'm going to add some nice Parmesan. At the very end, you add it in, you turn it around, you take it off the heat, and it's ready to serve. Now, everyone tells you that risotto is best eaten immediately, which is true, with a little bit of, as I'm talking to you, I'm going to just throw this on, with a little bit of, that's 4 ounces of Parmesan, grated Parmesan. With a little bit of, if you want it, Parmesan on the top. You can have it simply as a main course, just on its own with some nice crusty bread, which is a delicious way to eat it. Or you can, in fact, have it as a side dish. Now, in this recipe, in this book, there are no anchovies, but I actually love anchovies, and anchovies are wonderful. Taking it, I can turn the oven off. Pull this. I'm going to bring it a little bit into the light a bit more, so you might be able to see it a little bit better. And there it is, it's done. Now, as I said, I love anchovies. So what I do, I like to get a nice lot of anchovies, maybe a 4 to 6 ounce tin, drain them off, chop them very finely. And actually, when I finish cooking the onions and the garlic, and just before I throw the mushrooms in, I toss in the anchovies and stir them, and then I toss in the mushrooms. And it just gives it that wonderful, you can't taste anchovies, I know some of you don't like them, and you go, no, you can't taste the anchovies, but it gives it a beautiful flavour, and it gives it a little bit of a salty but natural salty flavour, which is what I love. So the recipe comes without the anchovies, although it will say anchovies option, and it will tell you what to do with them. So here we have it. There we are. I'm going to put it in a nice, do you see the cheese? Mm-hmm. See that there? So I'm just going to put it, because I'm having this for my lunch. Carolyn is not having it because she hates mushrooms. So I can't tell you, she's missing such a treat. So there it is. I don't know if you can see it better in the light. Can you come in this way and see it better in the light there? And this here, and just to show you, just to prove to you that it's beautiful and delicious. Really, really good. And there you have it, our mushroom risotto. Please join us again in Rosemary's Kitchen with Grey Eagle, with my daddy, who's always around. The flavour is so good. And until I see you next time, have a very, very, very blessed day.